My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, raging psychopaths stalking in American medical response vehicles, which is the city of Upland. Still engaging in criminal surveillance, still engaging in what is treason in concert with the people of the state, who are domestic terrorists as well. This is the city of Upland. It is currently 6:56 a.m. While the entity is engaging in what is criminal monitoring, psychological torture, criminal surveillance. I am at the Upland Public Library, literally the military means of what is honoring the wicked. The United States have memorials all throughout the country regarding the satanic sacrifices that the U.S. military has made in murdering other people in the name of this satanic effort. And they refer to it as U.S. interest. U.S. interest is to target American citizens, target other people in other parts of the world who represent what I represent, doing so in the demonic ways that I've shown you through acts of terrorism. And the entity is doing so not only right now at the Upland City Hall, Upland Public Library, but also while I am at what is the intersection of 9th Street and Euclid, where the 7-Eleven is, where I've shown you the fake sign in the morning and the evening. American Medical Response against stalking in the path and then using those sirens while they are facilitating ongoing terrorism with the people of the state who are domestic terrorists, keeping surveillance underway. This is an entity that is going to be federally prosecuted as a population, which requires, this is martial law. This is treason, and martial law is coming to California. This is the entity that is behaving as one that literally requires martial law as well. And the federal government has watched me prosecute that and prove it with tangible evidence. And the federal government is also watching the entity itself further corroborate everything that I've already proven through the P.O.C. And that's exactly why it's going to happen. This is P.O.C. It's 6:58 a.m. on Monday, May 4th, 2026. That is the 10:09 a.m. fake sun over the vagina monitors that are stalking in line before Allen at the circulation area. As I check out a laptop, so are the people of the state gang stalking. And you will see in the images uploaded to the Google Drive for your viewing of the coming down of martial law on the domestic terrorists who are the people of the state. And up in California, gang stalking in the pathetic manners that they do, such as going into the library, and they're not even concerned with literacy. Right? But this is the fake sun where the city of Upland is gang stalking in conformity to the same domestic terrorism that the city of Ontario is sharing in, where the demon-possessed, the dead, who are intellectually defeated and thus inferior, are not that they were competing for intellectual purposes. They were engaged in what is seeking to murder someone, and the entity that is demonic has found itself to be humiliated and to be a society full of dunces on top of being corrupt and perverted. But the entities engaged in what is criminal activity while they're standing in line in a library under a fake sun. They're mentally ill and they're stalkers. It is inside of the Upland Public Library where you'll see this evidence be uploaded to the Google Drive, where the entities engaged in criminal summoning, just like they are. You would compare this to the video at 5:59 p.m. to be exact, where COLLIN SHEEHY has fire trucks stalking me at Arrow and Euclid Avenue, turning the corner, tracking my steps, terrorism, sounding the sirens while the fake sun is still over me, while I'm at the same venue, which is under no circumstances the natural environment. The sun is, in other words, at 10:09 a.m., not still going to be shining on me at the same address, 450 North Euclid Avenue, as I'm walking outside of the entrance doors of this venue, which will be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 7.5 hours later, which is where vagina monitors are stalking in a library. Okay, and that's not what a city library is used for. And since it is a means of what is terrorism in the city of Upland, this is the ongoing removal of the means of terrorism in Upland, California, where martial law is going to rule over terrorists, such as the people of the state. It is currently 10:11 a.m. This is P.O.C. No problem. Do you? Room 2 or 4? Oh, no, I don't need a room. I just want the laptop, please. Oh, okay. Thank you. Do you have any disinfectant wipes that I can also get?
I think we're out of wipes over here.
Okay.
Yes, I haven't seen any for a couple days.
Oh, they might. When you get a second, if you could check, they had the burgundy or the purple container. If they still.
Yeah,
have...
we're out of those. I was trying to look for those the other day.
Okay, you looked in there already?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, in there.
okay, thank you.
You said you don't need a room?
I don't need a room, no. What's your name again?
Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yep.
Okay, Elizabeth's engaged in bathroom monitoring. She is a sex offender and she is under the law a state actor as opposed to a third party. This is, in other words, just the people of the state that are engaged in criminal monitoring as a means of employment at a facilitating venue, which is the Upland Public Library, the city of Upland that has the fake sign still remaining over me as I captured in images, where sex offenders are aligning in my path as they are tracking my steps in and out of the bathroom where my vagina is kept under surveillance. And it is 3:49 p.m. where that light source still remains over the venue, and the entities engaging in that ongoing conduct. The tracking of my movement and activity, including on my devices, also coexisting while Elizabeth and the rest of her co-workers and the demons that are monitoring inside of the venue, in concert with the U.S. military, are doing so pursuant to noise creation, which is ongoing just harassment and psychological torture. Okay, these are the mentally ill. These are demons that are just engaging what is walking across walking in and out of doorways, sitting all around me, maintaining presence, even the moment where they stand up, sit down. Everything that they're doing is with regard to me. And they're maintaining what is surveillance. And you will see the image of the fake sun over the same building that it was when all the demons with all their toddlers are coming to engage in surveillance with the government, which is how the U.S. military cloaks its criminal surveillance system when it is engaged in what is stalking and monitoring and conspiring the murder of an American citizen. It will surround that targeted individual with what is supposed to appear as an innocent, unsuspecting environment and people who are engaging what is living their own lives, minding their own business, and could not be the least concerned about the target individual, claiming that strangers are stalking them. This is the malice of the homosexuals who are stalkers, referring to themselves deceptively as the U.S. military, maintaining ongoing surveillance in Upland, California, under the same exact specific environment that I'm documenting in Ontario, which is impossible to coexist in any natural environment. Elizabeth is engaged in what is monitoring my vagina, while the patrons that are gang stalking with her go up to the desk, just like Alan this morning under the fake sun. This is the entity that's engaged in that. This is pathetic. While they're essentially engaging in posing, all they're doing is posing all the time. Oh, she's coming. I'm in position. Oh, she's coming. I'm inside of the stall, ready to walk in, ready to walk out, ready to sit down, ready to whatever they're doing. It's the same thing. And now you're understanding that with regard to what a bunch of demons in planes and helicopters are doing. The U.S. military doesn't have anything else to do. The U.S. military's concern is surveillance. And this is what you need to know. All of the living dead throughout the state of California are obsessed with. And that is why a fake sun, which is evidence also, conclusive, tangible, that which you can look up immediately and see for yourself. That's why it's sitting over this building, because that is in fact all that Elizabeth and all that the rest of the demons here are concerned with. And that's a means of what is surveillance, criminal surveillance, and furtherance of murder of the person whose vagina you're keeping under surveillance, which is an unprecedented sex offense committed by the U.S. military, acting via those that cannot read, who are stalking in the Upland Public Library. It is currently 3:52 p.m. This is bathroom monitoring, P.O.C. Did you need the food back? Oh, great. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Oh, I need to get my backpack. It is currently 8:02 p.m. by the way. The reason why I'm recording right now is that which I will explain in 1 second. I'm at 208 West G Street. This is the plaza where the W.S.S. Shoes is located, where the gym, where a bunch of gang members under the age of 18, like looking like they were going to jump me in the parking lot. This is the same parking lot where I've documented the sunrise, the sunset, stalking me by helicopters, stalking me by commercial plane, all of the hallmarks of the pattern of conduct, in other words. And I am at what is the giant, as you can hear the people monitoring, Giant Dollar, Ontario, at 208 West G Street in Ontario. The entity is engaged in what is monitoring me inside of the store. And this actually same third party, let me read their license plate, because I captured a picture of it, but let me put it on the podcast. 47003 Thomas 3, and it's a family of demons driving a blue Ford. That would be like an F-150. Yeah, that's an F-150. Oh, and the Latina female that was in the store is the one that is gang stalking me. She molests me, and then she goes in the store, stalking, making a purchase, stalking by getting in line, stalking by engaging in the pattern of conduct while the Ontario International Airport is flying over the giant $1 store. This is yet another location where there's no There's no, I'm going to go get the license plate of the vehicle going off. But there's no airport. The entity is clearly targeting, in other words, by flying over where I'm inside of the store and I hear helicopter activity, I hear sirens, I hear plane activity. Everybody in that store is gang stalking you and psychologically torturing you, including the company itself that's going to be prosecuted. Okay? This is the elements of monitoring. And this is the entity, this is the game that they like to play with people when they're gang stalking them. And so now their game is being used against them, and I'm going to prosecute you for the ways in which you're torturing people and stalking them while you think you're going to make $1. Giant Dollar is literally another mom and pop store. They would be crying in court, okay? They will not make it, and that's if any of them are not immigrants that are already subject to deportation. The entity is engaged in what is terrorizing me while plane activity is occurring, while demons are jumping in front of me, cutting in front of me, and precluding my ability to get a receipt after I conduct a transaction with an unprofessional establishment that's gang stalking. With license 70 Paul Larry 025. Facilitation. The demon-possessed, the mentally ill, using any and everything, including their car alarms, as a means of monitoring you, in concert with hundreds of people that surround you while the government's stalking. The U.S. military, that is. The homosexuals that don't want you to ask and don't want you to tell about their homosexual conduct, they also would like you to not know about the fact that they're stalkers and that they're homosexuals that are keeping you under surveillance. And that's what they're doing at the Giant Dollar. With the people of the state over here at the WSS and the gym plaza, that the gym anchors it, and sexual assault and battery by license 9BZN500. This is a Latina female. She's a sex offender, and so is license plate. Yeah, these are the ones that have their alarm going off. I already read them. License 9SNM496. This is P.O.C. This is also the entity that's going to be subject to what are mental examinations. They're going to be subject to what are being put in institutions regarding mental illness. All right, this is the P.O.C. And this is a sex offender. The homosexual of the U.S. military, they utilize sexual violence like this sexual assault and battery that this homosexual female is engaging in, touching my body with light, which is sex offender, a psychopath. In their mind, is focused on engaging in because they're hostile about something that you said. That's a predator, that's a psychopath, but that's a predator. Oh, I'm going to go touch them with light while I'm monitoring and further into murder, right? And that's what they do while they're also monitoring your evidence, federal stalking, while they are stalking in the path on behalf of the government that is engaging in what is surveillance by the Ontario International Airport. And this is all rooted in what is Giant Dollar, okay? This is the P.O.C. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct in the parking lot and their gang stalking inside of that. Everything that I'm documenting right now is prosecuting Giant Variety Store, okay? That's the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. These sex offenders go inside of that Giant Dollar store, stalking you in the aisles, stalking you while they're using light, and these are the psychopaths who are the people of the state. They're domestic terrorists. Is there something you would like to say while you're gang stalking? 70 Paul Larry 025. Staring and molesting and stalking. All right? Those are the sex offenders. Those are the demons. The demons that are full of, they give birth to children that are monitoring spirits, and then they're hostile while they're listening to themselves, while they're stalking, being documented. That's the U.S. military that's going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism. Okay, a bunch of hostile demons that are stalking, and nothing's obstructing traffic but stuck on me. That's what's wrong with them. That's what's wrong with them. That's literally what's wrong with them. And their demon-possessed children are the ones that are here at this same parking lot gang stalking. And then remember, and then what follows is the Ontario Police by helicopter. Remember that? This is all relevant to the pattern of conduct. All right, the mentally ill that are engaging in this level of mental illness with regard to psychopathic disorders where you have an impulse to kill and stalk and engage in what is harassing and terrorizing people, that is something that should not be allowed to procreate. Okay? But the demon-possessed are out here having children and they're gang stalking, as I've documented. This is the entity that's engaging in that level of violence, and then those violators are hostile because they're documented for it. Yes, absolutely. They are subject to what are federal prison and mental institutions, okay? But this is where the entities engaging in that. And the U.S. military that are severely mentally ill, stalking in planes and helicopters, which the people of the state are going to be compensating me for. Every airline company, the entities engaged in that while I'm inside and I have to wait around to get a receipt because a bunch of gang stalkers are failing at. You're not going to not give me a receipt while you're gang stalking me? Absolutely, give me that receipt. This is the entity, and it's not about the fact that you don't know, the feds don't already know where I'm at. It's about I'm maintaining a paper trail, and I'm diligent about it, and I'm going to make sure that I even document because
The entity is engaged in what is criminal activity. So I want that piece of paper with your company name on it, what it is that I purchased and the time that I did, which is also referencing everybody else that's making purchases and transactions, because everybody else is being prosecuted at the same time, while the business records are inherently built into the pattern of conduct where I'm prosecuting you, because I'm prosecuting that business. Alrighty, it is current. That's the entity that's engaged in that. Very unintelligent. They're not thinking about all this when they're gang stalking the average person, because the average person has never enforced their rights to this degree at all. Okay, so this is the entity that's highly unintelligent and ill-equipped for it. But that's what judgment is for. This is called judgment. This is P.O.C, the Ontario International Airport, maintaining plane activity over the giant dollar store. That giant dollar store is going to be gone, just like the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:09 p.m. Okay, now while you are flying, you can't hear this over the giant value dollar store. So this is the entity, this is the U.S. military using commercial airline planes, which is the people of the state in concert with the U.S. government, gang stalking. Okay, there's not even any planes taking off from the airport that are hovering over the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center, and the Senior Citizen Apartment Complex, the John Stewart Company. Now, while I'm at 208 West G Street, which is north of this location, the entity is necessarily targeting for me to be harassed with the amplified audible activity of planes inside of that store, where they are also engaging in what is gang stalking me, molesting me, the people of the state, the demons that are sex offenders, gang stalking with the U.S. military. All right. And it's no mystery that the entity's criminal pattern of conduct is sexually perverted, as are the homosexuals that are stalking of the U.S. military in these commercial airline companies, which I'm going to federally prosecute as sex offenders. Okay. And this is groundbreaking in that companies shall be liable for sex offenses while they are monitoring in furtherance of murdering American citizens, while the entity is engaged in that unlawful touching for a criminal purpose. It's 8:23 p.m. at the Ovid Family Community Library, where the entity is following from place to place. As an airport, okay, as an entity, but literally the planes are where no planes belong whatsoever, and this is also not a mystery, all right? And this is the treason that the U.S. military is committing with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:23 p.m. Alrighty, this is documentation regarding where the entity is continuously stalking by commercial planes right here. And this is relevant to Leo of Securitas that's engaging in what is right here, crossing path, and molesting me with impossible light while doing so. This is relevant to the pattern of conduct by the state. That is the cause of criminal monitoring and psychopathic pacing with the entity, and the molestation with engineer light. The significance of touching me with light while you're getting off of work is relevant to what is the mental illness of those that are gang stalking, the demons that are monitoring. And Leo is doing this as an employee of Securitas, and he's also doing it as a psychopath. He's very mentally ill, just like the demons that are gang stalking me in commercial plane, and demons that are gang stalking as a population. Okay, the entities engage in this repeatedly, as I've been documenting. Every time Leo is now leaving after he engaged in what is harassing me, after he's unsuccessful in the entity kidnapping me pursuant to criminal summoning. Now he's engaging in what is sexual assault and battery via engineer light as he's leaving, getting off at 9 o'clock every single night. And this is someone that's engaging in violence. And ordinarily, you're talking about the entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping, were you to inflict violence against that person that's harming you. This is what Leo is engaging in. He's walking on what is thin ice with regard to what is harming me, engaging what is threatening me, and then not facing what would be violence in return to that. This isn't a threat. This is the reality. This is relevant to the government that's threatening you, while the population's engaging in what are acts of violence against me. But if I had a bat and I took his head off, that would be, again, that would be an act of violence that the entity would then engage in what is pressing charges or engaging what is kidnap. That's a kidnapping pursuant to what is targeting you in the first place. I'm just giving you what is the information regarding the entity that is engaged in what is stalking, monitoring, and harassing and terrorizing with the government that's stalking. This is the U.S. military's fault. All right, this treasonous conduct that I'm documenting, and then you have sex offenders that are stalking me on their job as well, and then you are engaging in what is targeting American citizens who may or may not retaliate, which I am not advocating violence under any circumstances, but I'm just speaking to the fact if Leo were to be hurt for the coward that he is with regard to harassing a woman in the way that I could easily hurt him, because this is not a man. This is something that the entity would capitalize on regarding kidnapping. And that is also not justice under the law. But I just want to speak to the fact that the entity that's gang stalking me by commercial plane, this is the evidence regarding Leo, who is going to federal prison, just like the demons gang stalking in the city of Ontario. Doing so, just like you see this demon with the bike, just like this demon that's inside cleaning, they're in a relevant position in the engineered environment where the government has no planes other than those that are gang stalking, because there are no takeoffs from the airport here. The airport is targeting, just like I'm showing you in Pomona, California, just like I'm showing you in Montclair, California, just like I'm showing you in Fontana, California, where the Ontario International Airport, that are the unintelligent military personnel, these homosexuals that are stalking. And Leo is, again, of these homosexuals that are stalking with light, molesting me while he's engaged in what is expressing his frustrations toward me while he's gang stalking and can't think of anything else other than molesting me with impossible light. It's relevant to psychological torture. It is sexual violence. It's harassment. And it's also relevant to what is mental illness that he is harassing me with. I'm suffering because he's mentally ill and he's stalking me. That's the government. So that's state action. And the government's going to be prosecuted for that as well. It is currently 10:13 p.m. I wanted to make sure that I document the state stalking. I want to document what is Leo and Securitas engaging what is systematic harassment while he is remaining employed and engaging in what is a plethora of methods of terrorism and targeting and discrimination in concert with the entity that's conspiring my murder. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 10:14 p.m.
It is currently, I want you to see the co-conspirator of murder, which are the people of the state, sharing in mental illness and criminal activities. 10:57 p.m. And this is license plate. I want you to see 9YAL932, and this is going to be federally prosecuted as sexual violence in concert with the U.S. military. Just sitting in the dark lurking. Is this the same parking enforcement that's waking me up at 2:44 in the morning, stalking with the Ontario Police Department right now, flying in circles over me at the amphitheater? And they're doing so while I am documenting the fact of the gang stalkers that are the U.S. military, and the demon possessed are particularly perturbed about that, bringing out the demon in particular that is gang stalking me. Is also trying to double as parking enforcement where there is no enforcement, no authority by a gang stalker. This is the entity that's gang stalking. I just captured images, and let me remind you, the U.S. military that's gang stalking me right here flying over this amphitheater. This is where he's stalking me with light, where the U.S. military is stalking me flying right here by plane. This is where he's engaged in what is sexual violence. He's also doing so as a psychopath, looking down. This is what the demon possessed do. Looking down like nothing's happening, like he doesn't see me, and he's sitting here stalking. This is a psychopath. And so are the demons of the U.S. military, with whom Parking Patrol is stalking with light. So let me take this opportunity to show you the reality of what are the mentally ill who are gang stalking, engaging in treasonous criminal activity with the people of the state, exhibiting this level of mental instability. And they are the co-conspirators of murder. The U.S. military that's engaging, keeping me under surveillance in Ontario, California, which is why Mike LORENZ is going to prison. This is why the entity that is gang stalking the U.S. military using commercial planes that are stalking at the Ontario town square, while sex offenders like license plate YAL932, who's up at 2 o'clock in the morning, listening to me breathing, masturbating in the dark, lurking in the vehicle in the parking lot, stalking with the city of Ontario, not engaging in anything under the law that's recognizable, but he's going to be federally prosecuted under the law with regard to that P.O.C. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged with a psychopathic pacing by helicopter while he is aiming light to where I'm located, which is impossible light activity. This is the entity that's engaging in that. So let me show you the environment, okay? Here's one shadow. There's my shadow that's adjacent to me. This is sexual violence. And there's two shadows that pop up all of a sudden. That's not the product of his headlights. And this is a maniacal psychopath that's being prosecuted and acting like nothing is happening. It's the same thing that they're doing with regard to what Mike LORENZ just committed, which is terrorism by stalking me by helicopter, as I'm capturing the regarding what I'm going to put on X of the
United States military that are the co-conspirator of murder with the people of the state. And this is why the entity is going to be federally prosecuted regarding what is domestic terrorism. Metro 102 sharing in what is light activity. All right, the so-called parking patrol are not targeting by themselves. They're targeting together. This is the entity that's maintaining light activity around the perimeter. This is extremely threatening behavior. And the U.S. military are enemies of the United States, of American citizens, keeping us under surveillance with the domestic terrorists, the enemies, the serial killers, the rapists, the stalkers themselves, the people. Okay? P.O.C. It is currently 11:01 p.m. Pay attention to see how the military aren't flying over the El Bacon over there. They're not flying over that building. You know why? Because they're stalking me, and I'm not over there. And there are also no planes that are taking off from the airport over this location. This is exactly why I published on X the truth that the U.S. military are a bunch of homosexual, demon-possessed sex offenders who are hunting American citizens and hunting them in order to psychologically torture them before they murder and kidnap them, doing that in concert with corrupt entities like the city of Ontario, who have a city full of puppets that are a bunch of weirdos who are demon possessed. That's why they have the same weird behavior in the same demonic, that is supernatural environment, where a sun remains over me, where they are monitoring, stalking. All right, where the military are in the city, stalking with all the people who live in the city, together conspiring murder. This is not parking patrol. This is not parking patrol. And just like at Stater Brothers, that wasn't security. Okay, the entities engaged in what is gang stalking, and these demons are engaged in surveillance. And the companies that are engaging in it are engaged in commercial stalking with the U.S. military. They're all facets of surveillance. These homosexuals that are not any elite military personnel are nothing other than violent sex offenders who are stalking American citizens. This is indeed treason. It's in violation of Article 3, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. And this is the basis for what is not only martial law. You see this light activity, this flickering light, the people of the state are stalking. That's all they're doing is stalking. And this is requiring martial law because they're mentally ill. They're suicidal demons who are criminally monitoring, and now they're doing it in front of the whole world. The beast system violates the United States Constitution on obvious grounds, but also with regard to what is treason. This is war against American citizens by the U.S. military, in concert with the very constituents of the state, the people of the state, who have divorced themselves from any protections under the United States Constitution. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and they are targeting me with regard to where I'm going to sleep while it's raining outside. And the entity is engaged in what is using this. This is an Asian male who is an absurdly psychotic vagina monitor who's inside of the amphitheater right now, stalking in the path where the entity is flying over that amphitheater, where there are no not only are there no flights right now, there are no flights that are now deviating from not flying over the square, not flying over the library, flying right where I'm at. The U.S. military are a bunch of vagina monitors. They don't even like women. They are homosexuals. These men have sex with each other. It's witchcraft. Witchcraft that isn't working, by the way. And they're going to be committed, and they're also going to be federally prosecuted as they have betrayed the country. They have betrayed American citizens, and they're also violent predators who engage in murdering and stalking and hunting people down in other parts of the world, targeting them, targeting specifically what you need to know are children of God. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing in the U.S., and this is what I'm exposing them for. And the entity is going to be federally prosecuted for harassing me day and night on behalf of these homosexuals stalking with the city of Ontario, the so-called U.S. military. The U.S. military that's going to be no more. This is literally, it's like an abomination to the U.S. They're not an elite military force. They are a bunch of homosexuals who are, by the way, delusional. They're delusional. What are you doing in front of the whole world other than showing your enemies, by the way, that do dirty deeds with the United States? They know what the U.S. military is doing while I'm exposing them and prosecuting them. The entity that's engaged in what is ongoing, targeting me, is making itself vulnerable with those that it's engaged in dirty transactions with, that it's already tied up with. But that's its own judgment. I just want to speak to that. But this is exposing the U.S. to its own enemies. All right. And that is also a threat to American citizens. It is currently 11:24 p.m. where the government are using what are instrumentalities that the people of the state are lending to it to keep an American citizen under surveillance. This is treason. It is also criminal monitoring pursuant to what is the conspiracy to murder me. And in the practical moment by moment, the entity is doing so by harassing me, by stalking me, and exercising no authority under the law. They do that while, oh, I'm the security guard and I'm here and you're not supposed to be sleeping here at night. They're stalking with the U.S. government. And you're not exercising any authority under the law. And moreover, why am I sleeping outside? Because they stole my wealth while they're still stalking. This is the entity, and I'm documenting this because everyone that's engaging in this is going to prison. It's dominoes. They're all going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:25 p.m.